किसी भी एक्सपो में जाइए, किसी भी कॉन्फ्रेंसेस में जाइए, you'll hardly find a company which says कि मैं AI यूज नहीं कर रहा. So it's not a differentiator. अगर आप उस डिफरेंशिएटर जो होमोजीनियस हो चुका है, सब एआई यूज कर रहे हैं, उसके ऊपर आप कितना अच्छा रैपर लगा रहे हैं, इफ दैट इज द वैल्यूएशन दैट यू आर डिसाइडिंग फॉर योर कंपनी, that wrapper can be built by even the people who are giving that value. Nobody talks about an Apple or a Dell, right? These are means and tools to create stuff. So I see AI being that technology, being that enabler, being तो वो जो ऊपर का wrapper by definition is a wrapper because उसका कोई moat नहीं है. There is no differentiation. There is no patentability. कोई IP novel idea नहीं है ये. Wrappers can be built by anyone and बहुत easily displace हो सकता है with a better wrapper tomorrow.
Welcome back to this exciting episode of Fintech Ki Baat. We have with us Mr. Indrajit Makkar, founder and CEO of Factacy AI. We just had a very insightful and a brilliant conversation with him about his entrepreneurship journey, and he shared his lot of anecdotes from his experiences at Shark Tank and some do's and don'ts for budding entrepreneurs. Be sure to check it out if you haven't checked it out yet. The video should be linked somewhere here in one of the corners. You'll see it popping up right about now. Please do click on it. We are waiting for you here. And having said that, if you're back, let's get started to our next segment called Dhande Ki Baat. Thank you, Inderjit, for doing this. It's been a pleasure and it's been super insightful as of now.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Ji. Having said that, let's deep dive into the world of AI since you are building AI as a service. Tell me a bit about what exactly do you guys do at Factacy.ai? When you say AI.services, a lot of things pop up in my mind, but I want you to kind of help me put a finger on it on what exactly is that you guys do, what you guys build, and then would love to know a bit more about how you think and what kind of use cases have you built. Maybe let's start with BFSI first, as our audience is more tuned to that, and then would love to hear a bit more.
Yep. So, Factacy, like I said, the core crux of our revenue comes from AI as a service.
Mm-hmm.
It all starts from a business use case. It could be a founder's vision that, hey, I want to build this MVP or a product because this is my end vision of that product, and I want to build it with the technology of tomorrow rather than just using Python and front end, back end, and developers, other software engineers. So I want to build it through AI so that it's future relevant as well. So that's the founder part, and even for businesses, uh, see, AI is a level playing field for all the CTOs and every tech team in the world. So everybody is reinventing their own codes, reinventing their own way of doing things. So it is not something that if a person who's learned 10 years worth of coding versus a person who's just fresh out of college, both of them can have the same idea, and that AI technology is now an enabler for these ideas, and that enabler is same for everyone. So even the small, medium, and large level companies will have some use case around for BFSI. You can talk about fraud. You can talk about KYC. You can talk about, say, simple diligence. Management, wealth management can also be done. Predictions can be done. So all those things can be built for a company as well. So where Factacy comes in, we have a tech team. We have teams of data science, AI, ML engineers, machine learning operations, DevOps. Then you have front end, back end coders. They have software developers, project managers. So this team is the tech stack is pretty new, pretty new. I mean, we don't bother like technologies which are like 5 or 10 years ago, and most of the people who are building new age stuff are building around uh, the technologies and the tech stack of today and tomorrow. So ये team वही है और ये team उसी लिए ही capable है. And the projects that we do is say for example hiring. There's a company called Zepcruit we built from idea till the final stage. There's a gaming company called Bitfinit in US. So that's around data management, then AI around bidding, quotations and all. You have fractional ownership real estate company. Then you have KYC companies and debt recovery agents, giving them tools and the probable conviction score कि किस एरिया या किस गली में जाओगे तो पैसा मिल सकता है वापस, या किस एरिया में जाओगे वहां पर पिन कोड वैसे ही बदनाम है, कुछ नहीं मिलने वाला, तो वहां
Right.
पे मत जाओ. जियो टैगिंग फॉर debt recovery. So then you have fraud detections and other business use cases that come to us. And these are not वेरी बिग कंपनीज, दीज आर प्रॉब्ली कंपनीज जो जैसे एचडीएफसी और आईडीएफसी या इनके जो पोटेंशियल एनपीएज आ रहे हैं किसी को रिकवरी के लिए जाते हैं. So we help those companies also to kind of have AI built in so that their managements are managed, so their operations are managed efficiently as well. So we start like the whole concept of giving services starts from say diagnosis कि आपको करना क्या है. Then you have some basic level SOP or SOW created कि ये आप ऐसे कर सकते हैं, and then we build up teams around it and then deliver. And based on the project, we either charge them a development fees upfront and then look at say subscription or a retainer for us. That's the revenue that we are building. That's about 70% of Factacy's revenue. The 30% is into platform nowadays. I talked about Startupinvestors.ai, which is connecting startups and founders and the investors. So there's a whole lot of industry where if you have an idea, people help you build up a pitch deck, people help you in pitching and developing your pitching. Then there's a whole lot of industry which talks about investor discovery, networking with investors, and then actually pitching events. So then once the pitching is done, shortlisting, management on the investor side, basic level KYC diligence. So all that is packed into this one platform, don't done completely through AI. So you'll see AI helping you in your pitching, AI helping you, giving you mock VC interviews. Then AI will help you discover investors through our platform. There are 12,500 investors to choose from based on your matching records. And then the conversations happen on the platform. You can send outreach. So book hosting or deal making, ये सब आसान करना चाह रहे थे उस platform में. That's contributing to 30% of our platform. So in the previous session, we talked about this passion project of mine.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
Thankfully, we launched it in December, and thankfully, we have around 300 odd startups and around seven investors already using this platform today.
Amazing. Could you list out exactly what's the website for it? I'll also link it out somewhere here so that people who want to check it out if it's available can definitely do that.
Yeah, it's basically startupinvestors.ai, very simple brand name,
Mm-hmm.
startupinvestors.ai. And I
Perfect.
mean, the whole aim is to increase the average deals which are happening in India around 300, 200, 300 to raise it to around 400, 500. And let's like make sure that at least a good idea can never die because of lack of funding. That's the broad aim behind the site.
I think it's a brilliant concept. A lot of, and me being, I'm sorry, I'm digressing a little bit, but I think this kind of topic touches home, right? Uh, Being a part of an early stage VC community and having built an incubator since, I mean, in last 6 years and earlier in my previous avatar. So basically, I've seen the kind of struggles that a founder goes through. यार एक नया स्टार्टअप किया, यहाँ पे पिच डेक बना रहा है, वहाँ पे जाके इन्वेस्टर्स को पिच कर रहा है, इधर आके कस्टमर से बात कर रहा है. एंड if you are able to simplify that journey through this kind of a platform जहाँ पे सारे इन्वेस्टर्स एक जगह मिल रहे हैं, उसको उनको फीडबैक भी मिल रहा है कि भाई ये आपका डेक में ये चेंज हो सकता है. He has also someone to kind of help him out to build that pitch deck properly. I think that could have solved at least 60% of his bandwidth crunch,
Yeah.
to be very honest.
And even on the investor side, they are bombarded with like 100 100 pitch decks a week. And
Exactly.
just because we are at the mercy of that initial research analyst, उसका उस दिन
Mm-hmm.
क्या मूड है, उसने कितनी pitch deck ढंग से पढ़ी नहीं पढ़ी. So
True.
we have this conviction score based on the pitch deck reading. The AI reads the pitch deck, and
Hmm.
based on the synthetic thesis we have for the investor, it
Hmm.
is giving ranks and conviction scores and giving brief notations like this is good, this is what you need to ask before approving it. And even rejections are automated as well. I mean, sometimes it doesn't even match your thesis. You're not a Series A investor and somebody asking you for a Series A round. You're a seed investor, you're an angel investor, so you might as well say, okay, let's look at it later, or you're probably looking at the wrong place. So ghosting कम करो because founder का time बहुत important है. And,
बिल्कुल
just give
बिल्कुल.
some value to the founders, at least value their time first of all.
True, true, true. And ghosting doesn't, I mean, it kind of leaves you feeling really crappy, for a lack of better word.
टॉक अबाउट द इमोशनल ब्रेकडाउन यार. फाउंडर
Exactly,
ऑलरेडी इतना
exactly.
स्ट्रगल कर रहा है, लोगों की सैलरीज देगा, प्रोडक्ट बनाएगा, सब कुछ करेगा, साथ साथ एक मोरल डाउन करना कि यार उसको मैंने 2 बार ही फोन किया, वो फोन नहीं उठा रहा, 2 हफ्ते से कॉल बैक नहीं हुआ.
Exactly,
There are
exactly.
12,000 more investors. Approach them. Give more power
Exactly.
to the founder.
True, true. No, brilliant, brilliant. I think this is super interesting.
Yeah.
Uh, Having said that, right, you're talking about, and I think, well, it's a bit too early in this conversation to touch upon this. I think you talked a bit about people building AI solutions, and you kind of helping them build that end to end, and I think to a future-proof stack, or the stack of tomorrow, as you call it. How do you see, a lot of, and I think this happened maybe couple of years back when GPT was new. Everything, I mean, there was everything GPT, right?
Mhm.
हर चीज का GPT बन गया था हर and अभी भी I think you still see the trend. While the GPT prefix has been removed, you still see that trend. Concept वही है. So, and you know where exactly I'm pointing at. So, what is your view on those kind of tools that have been launched that are essentially just a wrapper on a larger model? And I mean, it's not bad to have that, but then the only use case is that you are just uploading a document, getting the answers, and those kind of things. How do you look
So
at those AI tools?
initially, we were also a victim of this wrapper AI thing, and I thought
Mm-hmm.
if these kind of companies are getting so much limelight, funding, and traction, let's look at that direction. But I think thankfully हम थोड़ा जल्दी realize कर गए कि ये नहीं चलने वाला है, because it's not that hard for a foundational LLM company to just create an agent out of it. तो आपका रैपर आपने जो 10-20 दिन या 1-2 महीने लगा के आपने उसके ऊपर जो ऊपर का जो कोड लिखा है, जिन्होंने वो फाउंडेशनल मॉडल बनाया, वो कोड क्यों नहीं लिख सकते हैं? वो लिख सकते हैं. दे कैन प्रॉब्ली एक्सपैंड इन दैट एरिया एनी गिवन डे. And wrapper AI is, see, credit where it is due. I mean, if you are building a good wrapper around a foundational technology, it's fine. And not everybody will have that same dynamics or same variables that made one successful and the other one don't. I am not a big fan of wrapper AI. I don't see immense value coming out of a wrapper AI company. Uh, I am definitely, like I said, it's not a big fan, but people still are doing that. Eventually, uh, what you need to know is, I'll give an analogy. Like 1990s में जब computers आया था, तो शुरू शुरू में we are using latest technology to make this thing. वो computer use करके बनाते थे, तो लिखते थे कि यार we are using latest technology, modern technology से बना. Even आप साबुन भी बना रहे हैं, तो आप कंप्यूटर लैपटॉप यूज करके बना रहे हैं, तो आप बताते हैं कि यार लेटेस्ट टेक्नोलॉजी से बनी हुई चीज़ है, रिसर्च करके बनाई गई चीज़ है. तो अभी एआई के साथ भी वही होने वाला है. नोबडी इज गोना गिव अ डैम अबाउट व्हाट एआई टेक्नोलॉजी आर यू यूजिंग अनलेस योर प्रोडक्ट टॉक्स अबाउट अ वैल्यू दैट यू गिविंग. तो ये भी वैसा ही है. इफ यू नॉट यूजिंग एआई देन यू आर शेयरिंग अ लाइट कि आप क्यों नहीं यूज कर रहे. ऐसा क्या गलत
Right.
हुआ आपके साथ जो आप एआई यूज नहीं कर पा रहे. अगर आप एआई यूज कर रहे हो, nobody today says कि I've made this email, I've made it using a Dell laptop or a Apple MacBook. Nobody talks about an Apple or a Dell, right? These are means and tools to create stuff. So I see AI being that technology, being that enabler, being that laptop or a hardware जो पहले बनता था. तो इसको एक आप एआई यूज करके कुछ बना रहे हैं, तो दैट इज नॉट अ सेलिंग पॉइंट एट ऑल. आप क्या बना रहे हैं, वो डिफाइन करना चाहिए कि एआई कितना चल रहा है इसमें. So that is a bone to pick that I have with all the founders who start up by saying we are an AI powered company. हम भी बोलते हैं हम AI powered company, but हर कोई बोल रहा है आजकल AI powered company है. किसी भी एक्सपो में जाइए, किसी भी कॉन्फ्रेंसेज में जाइए, you'll hardly find a company which says कि मैं AI यूज नहीं कर रहा. सो इट्स नॉट अ डिफरेंशिएटर. अगर आप उस डिफरेंशिएटर जो होमोजीनियस हो चुका है, सब एआई यूज कर रहे हैं, उसके ऊपर आप कितना अच्छा रैपर लगा रहे हैं, इफ दैट इज द वैल्यूएशन दैट यू आर डिसाइडिंग फॉर योर कंपनी, दैट रैपर कैन बी बिल्ड बाय इवन द पीपल हु आर गिविंग दैट वैल्यू. आप ऐसा तो नहीं कि
Exactly.
डेल का लैपटॉप लेके उसके ऊपर अपनी कंपनी का नाम लगा के बोलेंगे डेल से तो अच्छा है.
बिल्कुल.
तो वो जो ऊपर का रैपर बाय डेफिनेशन इज अ रैपर, इट्स रैपिंग अराउंड अ फाउंडेशनल टेक्नोलॉजी. वो फाउंडेशन टेक्नोलॉजी की
True.
वैल्यू के ऊपर आपने एक कोड लिखा हुआ है.
True.
It depends on how people are able to sell it, how investors are even valuing these things, because उसका कोई मोट नहीं है. There is no differentiation. There is no patentability. कोई IP novel idea नहीं है ये. Rappers can be built by anyone,
True.
and बहुत easily displace हो सकता है with a better rapper tomorrow.
बिल्कुल. And I think while you really rightly said, right, key rappers can easily be displaced. The new piece on this, the new kid on the block, as we like to call it, is the onset of SLMs, right? Custom SLMs. There are new SLMs for everything. हर चीज का हमने हमारा SLM बना के ये start किया है. So how legit is that? What does it take to actually make an SLM that is actually useful versus just putting 10,000 data points into it and making it respond in a certain way?
The SLMs do have a future because
Hmm.
LLMs अगर आप रन करेंगे तो you need a big GPU processing. And the moment a technology moves into your handheld devices, mobile
बिल्कुल.
phones, within that 12, 16 GB RAMs,
हम्म.
and the moment you actually start making them browser friendly and laptop friendly, जितना आप छोटा जाएंगे, जितना क्वांटाइज करके छोटा छोटा या फिर SLM बना रहे हैं, उतना वैल्यू ज़्यादा बनते हैं और उतना फोकस्ड वो मॉडल रन करेगा. सो यू माइट हैव एन SLM रनिंग फॉर say any shopping website or a try and buy kind of a thing. You might have an SLM of translation. You might have an SLM for just customer service. So जो agentic और SLM का जो pairing होती है वो बहुत अच्छी होती है. वो I see a lot of value in that. And इसका second point ये है कि SLMs are easy to deploy on small businesses as well. So you don't need a large expenditure on tech to create your own LLM or a trained LLM or a fine-tuned LLM for you. आपका पर्पस छोटा सा ही है. You don't need to like fire a bazooka to kill a fly.
ट्रू
So
ट्रू ट्रू.
you just need that particular function. जो मैं बताता ना AI एज ए सर्विस में फर्स्ट स्टेप आपका डायग्नोस्टिक है. अगर आपको सिर्फ एक छोटा सा टास्क करना है, उस छोटे टास्क के लिए मैं पूरा GPT का आर्किटेक्चर लेकर आ जाऊँ आपके लिए तो फायदा नहीं है. वो छोटे से टास्क के लिए आप सिंपल लाइन ऑफ कोड्स प्लस अ स्मॉल SLM डाल के वैल्यू पैक कर सकते हैं उसके लिए. So SLM is a good way to go, and it will democratize AI for sure. उसमें I do see a lot of value, but the only thing is again, uh, just because it is it's a fad word right now. इसके पीछे अगर आपने वैल्यू नहीं डाली, अगर कोई अच्छा सा यूज केस नहीं किया तो ये भी डाई डाउन हो जाएगा. हर
ट्रू
बड़ी
ट्रू ट्रू.
टेक्नोलॉजी अगर यूज केस ड्रिवन होती है, इट सक्सीड्स. नहीं तो फिर वो यूज केस ढूंढते ढूंढते टेक्नोलॉजी को एक नॉवल म्यूजियम वाला आर्ट पीस बना देते हैं लोग.
Bilkul. I think that's very well put, and I think that exactly is the kind of thing that early on. I mean, the early set of SLMs that kind of came out. A lot of big entities. I wouldn't want to name any, but they released that, and many of them kind of felt like that. But now we have seen a lot of, as you said, dedicated use cases SLM paired along with specific, not agentic AI, but specific functionals and rule engines that kind of can build and add value to a
Yep.
you know
Yep.
a set of audience. Having said that, looking at the BFSI industry, and you have a more holistic perspective, and you kind of see what's happening across industries. So okay, before deep diving, I'm kind of course correcting myself. Before deep diving into BFSI right now, let's take a step back and would love to hear from you on which of the industries do you see AI creating kind of a major intervention right now, and then we would talk about the interventions that you're seeing in BFSI.
Yep. जो मेरा पर्सनल मानना है कि जो या तो बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स है तो बहुत बोरिंग सेक्टर्स
Hmm.
थे, वो AI बहुत आगे ले आएगा उनको. Medical research is one good use case that we've known, and we've talked about it in multiple occasions. Uh, Not everybody has the time and patience to go over 100,000 test records and finding out any correlation causation around it. Then you have cancer and AIDS research, and these research needs to talk about the protein, the composition around it, and how they would react, how they would rebuild DNA strands and all those things. So बहुत सारे permutation combination होते हैं. Nobody has time to or the resources to put in a lot of time and effort into making that research capable. AI will be a good enabler there because the kind of computation the AI can do at one go is going to really help in that. So medical research and pharma is going drug discovery is going to be like really really quick, and testing results can be really quick as well क्योंकि drug discover हो जाता है, बहुत 4-5 साल से testing चलती है. एक कोरोना is one exception there, but ऐसे किसी को drugs publicly available करना बहुत एक बड़ा challenge होता है. So AI can help in pharma and drug discovery as well. Second thing, I would definitely see that industrial 4.0 हम बोलते हैं, but even in manufacturing, now that IoT has, you talked about SLM, you talked about simple structures, simple quantized models that can be done in edge computing now. So even though small devices can now think on their own, because
Okay.
अगर सपोज करो असेंबली लाइन में एक रोबोट है जो इतना बड़ा आर्किटेक्चर लेके बैठा हुआ है, उसमें पावर कंजप्शन इतनी ज़्यादा हो रही है तो कॉस्टिंग ज़्यादा हो जाती है.
बिल्कुल.
अब वो सस्ते होने लग जाएंगे बिकॉज दे विल हैव देयर चिप्स एंड दे विल हैव दी स्मॉल लैंग्वेज मॉडल, स्मॉल थिंकिंग मॉडल, स्मॉल agentic models, small cognitive models, which make that robot more functional. And that's why automation in IoT and industrial manufacturing is something that I'm bullish about as well. And the last part is the consumer-driven industry, consumer appliances. Even today, if you see a fridge is smart, yeah, but a camera is a smart camera, that adds value to that device. It makes it a smarter device rather than a dead device. You'll see about the TVs and the tables and the furniture becoming smarter. Uh, you've already seen tabletops where you just put a device, it recognizes the device and charges it automatically. So mobility is another one, automation in self-driving mobility, not cars alone, but even planes and even defense. You've seen examples where AI is used by US. They're still talking about Anthropic and Pentagon discussions. So rightful use of AI, because we see a lot of value in defense strategies and execution both. So those are the areas that I see apart from BFSI. मतलब वो तो globally is a valid use case for AI, but a lot of these sectors will see a lot of improvements given that AI is helping them now.
Fair enough, fair enough. No, I think that is really a very interesting holistic perspective. If you look at kind of narrow down to BFSI specifically, and we briefly did touch upon underwriting and a couple of pieces on that side. Uh, where do you see, if you start with everyone's favorite in fintech lending, so underwriting is I think probably the lowest hanging fruit की काफी चीजें हैं जहाँ पे you can automate a few things and you can kind of use intelligence in a few things. How do you see that happening across? Maybe let's start with lending, then probably payments. You also touched upon fraud detection and all of that. And then what would be most interesting is also insurance piece, because I think the technology creep there has been relatively slower than other industries, is what I personally feel. But would love to hear your views.
Yeah. So let's start with lending. I think lending में assessing the loan application was the major focus area for a lot of lending
Right.
institutions. But I think we need to move beyond that now. Once you've kind of made that decision that the person is good enough to lend, and उसकी financial health को 24/7 monitor कर सकते हैं. So even for a credit card company, you have transaction data coming in for that credit card. You see the trends, you see sometimes the payments are missed per day, time, month, whatever transaction that the person has done. So you can monitor the transaction for every customer at every single pulse or a ping in time. And then remedial workflows can be automatically triggered through agentic AI. So that is something that lending and like basically management of the uh, loan can be done from the back office using these technologies. Then moving beyond that, I think KYC is another one. I mean, earlier we used to just have video KYC. You just had. I'm saying earlier. I mean, this should also change. You had just PAN card and Aadhaar card shown on a video KYC, but across public records, you need to find traces for that particular PAN card and Aadhaar card. Uh, of course, there are some banking regulations on how you are referring to those records, but an HDFC within the HDFC can have multiple files associated with that same PAN card.
True.
So those kind of intra-company KYC can be done automatically. They don't need to go through a regulation on how you're referring that or how
Makes sense.
proactively or you aggressively are you recording the
Mhm.
person's basic profile KYC. Then you also have fraud detection. You also have wealth management related discussion, because uh, earlier the task used to be very humongous. So we have 100 million or we have a million records. How will you check every million record every single day? So it doesn't require, you don't have that much data center capacity to do this. So AI can now do all those things quickly and give you triggers quickly. It depends on your business strategy. Do you want to kind of scrape towards the बॉटम हाफ ऑफ द कुकिंग पैन कि वहां से भी अपने वैल्यू निकालनी, तो ए डेफिनेटली हेल्प कर सकता है. डिपेंड्स ऑन योर यूज केस. सिंपल, आई मीन इवन फ्रॉम द मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक फैक्टर्स आल्सो, दिस वाज फैक्टेसी 1.0 जब हम शुरू में करते 2020 में, कि from a macro level, policy decisions, you have consumer expenditure data, you have all these data. Mosby gives out reports monthly and quarterly as well. So you have all these data and you know the policies that the government is making and the government has spent into these areas. I believe there needs to be a centralized AI uh, driven policy and the effectiveness of those policies through AI, because if you spend 100 crores in one sector, causation and causality, I am a big fan of these things. So how would you see those sectors benefiting from it, say a year or two after that initial spend? So that way you have that multiples on that spend. So if you want to improve health sector, if you want to increase, say, the accessibility of health, you have a multiple. Like, okay, I need to improve the accessibility by this much. Now I need to spend and budget this much on that front level, on the initial macro level as well. So there is immense scope. The only blocker here would be the aspiration, the vision of the person in charge.
Fair, fair, fair enough. And thank you for sharing that. One thing that I would really want to kind of hear from you, and which normally also kind of is very kind of crucial for a specific piece, that is lending, right? And a lot of people have tried to revolutionize it and uh, kind of get bring in a lot of technological interventions, but haven't been able to impact it by too much, I would say. Well, there has been some positive movement, which is the collections piece, right? आज भी majority of people, and this is a very this is a financial inclusion problem in terms of it, and I think AI is, and specifically agentic AI, is very well poised to kind of solve for it. Consider this like a thought experiment. It's not something that we would have a right or wrong answer right now. But how do you look at, or how would you plan on AI or an agentic AI-led intervention, whatever you feel fit, to kind of improve collections for lenders who are building for financial inclusion, maybe in tier 2 tier 3, जहाँ पे शायद वो लोग नहीं बेच पा रहे हैं, या फिर आज वहाँ पे penetration ही नहीं हो पा रहा है because the collection is a problem.
So we worked with one of the collection companies. They were in this business for 4 decades. So
Mm-hmm.
it's the second generation who reached out to us. So the use cases were probably governed by the policies by the individual banks that
True.
initially lent out the amount to these individual customers.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, AI can definitely help. Like for example, if you have 4 decades worth of data, say
Mm-hmm.
for Delhi NCR or UP or Bihar, and you
Mm-hmm.
have 4 decades worth of data from multiple banks and
Right.
new age and NBFCs as well. So that data, if for example you get a file from HDFC, get a file from IDFC, you get a file from say Axis, you get a file from ICICI.
Mm-hmm.
So these all individual files, these owners have their own rights to those files and they give you access points, and you don't need to, you cannot actually go beyond that file and do more data research around that.
True.
So the policy as such is that if I know there's a name in all those 4 files, that
Mm-hmm.
person will never return the money.
Got it.
There is a propensity that, okay, for example, I found this person in HDFC for 1 month and I gave him a call. He just on that call itself
Mm-hmm.
made the payment good and it's fine. That person went. And 2 months later, I found it on IDFC file. And that
Mm-hmm.
person is the same person. आई नो इसको कॉल करूंगा काम हो जाएगा, तो इसको मैं
Mm-hmm.
जाके विजिट करने की भी जरूरत नहीं है, मुझे पता है फॉरगेट हो गया, मतलब प्रॉब्ली एज्ड बंदा है या बिजी रहता है, ट्रैवल कर रहा होता है, इधर उधर कभी ना कभी मिस कर देता है, सो दैट इज गुड. एंड देन आई नो, जैसे कई बार क्या होता है कि किसी टीयर 2 टीयर 3 सिटी में जाओ कि एक घर में 4 या 5 लोग हैं,
Mm-hmm.
4 या 5 कार्ड्स है, 4 या 5 आपने लोन्स दे रखे हैं, वो रिपीटेडली मिस ही कर रहे हैं.
Mm-hmm.
Probably there's one person who's used all 4 PAN cards to
Right.
get that loan, and there's no point in recovery also. So that
Mm-hmm.
can be red flagged for all the banks altogether.
Makes
So
sense.
CIBIL is an initiative. Other people have this initiatives, but at some point in time, we need to make the call. How aggressive do you want to be in collections? You don't need to kind of go on and bug him at his door and take the car keys. अगर आपका car की EMI outstanding, ये नहीं करना. You
Mm-hmm.
need to just be smarter in approaching what can be recovered, what cannot, and what means can you use in recovery. Because uh, sometimes calling a person is good enough. Like 40-50% of your good
Mm-hmm.
CIBIL scored folks will just return your money in the first call itself, because
True.
they might just forget it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there are good people, but इन एरियाज वेर यू नो कि यार इस पिन कोड से 4 बार ही लोन हुआ, चारों में कोई ना कोई हमारे पास हर महीने में 2 महीने में एक बार इसको भेजना ही पड़ रहा है कुछ ना कुछ, तो
Hmm.
लेंडिंग का जो फर्स्ट स्टेप है उसी पे इसको रोक दो रादर देन कलेक्शंस पे जाने के लिए.
Makes
तो
sense.
दीज इंटीग्रेटेड टूल्स शुड बी देयर विद द बैंक्स.
Hmm.
दे आर यूजिंग इट. अभी फिलहाल से ये कॉन्वर्जेशन रहेगा कि बॉट्स यूज कर रहे हैं कि आपकी पेमेंट ड्यू है, प्लीज कॉल कर दीजिए, आपको मैं कॉल
Yeah.
करेंगे तो प्लीज से यस, आप पेमेंट कर देंगे तो बता दिए आप यस बोलिए. सो दीज आर गुड टूल्स, बट दे विल ओनली गिव यू लाइक 30 to 40% of the market that you're letting
Fair,
out. I
fair.
hope it makes sense, but frankly, all these collection agents are good intentional people. They don't need to send bouncers and bodybuilders to kind of get the collections
True,
done.
true,
But
true.
you should give them enough tools and some leeway to kind of work on the data so that their operations are also improved.
Hmm.
अब
Makes
हर
sense.
एक चीज के लिए बंदा भगाना is not good sense. 30-40 rupees you spend just for
Fair.
that daily visit, and it doesn't make sense to them.
Fair, fair, fair. Makes sense. No, I think you have made a very interesting point here. Rather than kind of operationalizing it in the way that currently it is, if there's an embedded layer of intelligence that kind of comes in, that either can even block the funnel at the top in some cases and maybe augment the method that you use to reach out in the latter stages, I think that could really change the game and probably, give banks confidence to increase their lending penetration as well.
Yeah.
Fair. Now, I think next topic is on which I want to kind of touch upon is something without which this video would definitely be incomplete since we have been talking so much about AI, which is agentic AI. And not just agentic AI, but also what passes as agentic AI in the market versus what is an actual agentic AI. So over to you. Would love to hear your views.
So initially, everything was AI. Now
Yes.
everything is agentic AI. So every
True.
like if you put these words, आपकी एक डोमेन की या फिर एक कंपनी की वैल्यूएशन बढ़ा देते हो आप ये वर्ड डाल के.
Mm-hmm. True.
But agentic AI, you have to understand it's someone doing some tasks autonomously on your behalf. Basic simple है. It's an agent
Mm-hmm.
for you. So it is performing those tasks. इट मे और एजेंट्स पहले भी थे, एजेंट्स एआई एनेबल्ड नहीं थे, अब एआई एजेंट्स आ रहे हैं, तो दैट इज द ओनली डिफरेंस नाउ. दे कैन मेक सम जजमेंट रिलेटेड कॉल्स, नॉट हार्ड कोडेड बाइनरी कॉल्स. So, for example, if you say that, okay, hey, book me a ticket on this particular date from Delhi to Mumbai, and return tickets on this to this. So, first of all, this speech to text will go on, and that agent will get to know the features. Okay, this is the attribute that he's looking for. Go on, search on the tool, and come back with flight tickets, and inform me, like from a speech, from text to speech back, that hey, I found these tickets for you. Do you want me to book it or not? Yes, book it. So once you book it, the agentic AI now goes to the original site and books the tickets for you, and then also makes the payments using your UPI or credit card details that it is you've already saved on that agent. So those are small little agents that work for you, and these are agents that require your access. So if you're booking tickets through say Clear Trip, Make My Trip, whatever, you'll need your logins on these pages, on these sites, or some open APIs that you can get those agents to search on. So इसमें जो एक मिसकंसेप्शन ये है कि एजेंट्स सब कुछ कर लेते हैं. एजेंट्स आर देयर टू एग्जीक्यूट सम स्टफ फॉर यू. ये ऐसा नहीं कि आपकी जिंदगी आपको बिना बताए आपके लिए अच्छी कर देंगे. यू नीड टू नो हाउ दोज एजेंट्स वर्क, एंड यू नीड टू हाउ नो हाउ दीज क्रिएट दीज थिंग्स. Second thing, agentic AI is different from an agent. Agent can be a line of code. Simple आपने Python या किसी एक टूल पे उसको बना के आपके लिए प्रोसेस सॉर्ट कर लिया. जैसे हम VBA एक्सेल में मैक्रोज यूज करते थे, उसको भी एजेंट बोल सकते थे. तो agentic AI is cognitive. It is thinking and using AI tools to interpret what you're saying and then making actions, sometimes subjective as well. वो कर लेते हैं. So these are the areas. And again, agentic AI currently, if you talk about making an agent on tools like N10 and other stuff, that is easy and very very convenient to do. For companies, it does make sense to have agents make their tasks easy. So ऐसा नहीं है कि प्लग इन प्ले है, कुछ बाहर से उठाया और बना दिया आपने अपने लिए. इट विल गिव यू लाइक 70-80% हैवी लिफ्टिंग वो पहले से कर लिया होगा. बट 20-30% आपको प्रॉपर उसको कोड करना पड़ेगा.
Context
मेक
enough
श्योर
to
इट
do so.
वैल्यूज
Yeah.
दिस.
Hmm.
दूसरा एक मिसकंसेप्शन होता है कि मतलब ये मतलब अपने आप ही काम कर लेगा जो करना है।
हम्म
एंड दैट इज समथिंग विद द गार्ड रेल्स कम इनटू द पिक्चर कि आप उसको क्या नहीं करना है वो जरूर बता दो। उसने टिकट तो आपके लिए बुक कर दी है, वो टिकट दिल्ली से मुंबई 3 स्टॉप्स के बाद करा दी इसने। तो आप दिल्ली से मुंबई वाया वाराणसी वाया पुणे वाया जा रहे हैं, तो ये गार्ड रेल्स भी नॉन स्टॉप भी बुक करिए भाई। तो उसकी प्रेफरेंसेस होनी चाहिए। प्लस अगेन रीजनिंग का ना एक लिमिटेशन होता है। सो इट विल गो टू अ मोर इजी नेक्स्ट बेस्ट काइंड ऑफ सोल्यूशन, बट एक मैथमेटिकल सोल्यूशन अभी भी नहीं करता। सो गुड वे टू एक्सप्लेन दिस इज कि I set up an agent to help certain students answer queries through a chatbot। कि मेरा एक जैसे खान अकेडमी है कोई मैंने चला रखी है जिसमें एजेंटिक एआई लगा देगा उनकी प्रॉब्लम क्वेरी सॉल्व करने के लिए। सो एट सम पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम रीजनिंग में वो फेल करेगा करेगा, एंड यू नो कि इसकी एक लिमिटेशन है एजेंटिक एआई की, वो यहाँ से नहीं कर सकता चीज़। सो बेटर नो दोज लिमिटेशंस बिफोर डिप्लॉइंग देम। सो एंड if your agentic is a blue ocean kind of an agent जो ऐसी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर रहा है जो कि पूरी दुनिया में किसी ने नहीं कर रखी है, अ, अगर आप जल्दी बना सकते हैं और जल्दी मार्केट कर सकते हैं कर लीजिए, बिकॉज ये चीज करने सोचने के लिए all the big 4 5 tech companies have people to do it. So if फॉर एग्जांपल आप जैसे आईपीएल में एड्स देख रहे हैं कि जेमिनाई आपको कोचिंग दे सकता है, जेमिनाई आपको ये कर सकता है वो कर सकता है। अब इमेजिन समवन who's created an agent around that same architecture. So Gemini would kind of expand itself to create these kind of agents, which might as well take your agent into their own surface also. You have a competing product from Gemini now. तो ये थोड़ी सी ना मतलब बिफोर जस्ट स्टेपिंग आउट एंड लेबलिंग एवरीथिंग एंड मेकिंग श्योर यू इन्वेस्ट अ लॉट ऑफ कंपनीज और मेकिंग एजेंट्स राइट नाउ, यू नीड टू नो व्हाट आर दीज रिस्क्स एंड व्हाट आर द मिथ्स अराउंड इट। और लाइन ऑफ कोड्स को आप एजेंट बोल सकते हो, एजेंटिक एआई नहीं बोल सकते। मतलब अगर आप सिंपल वीबीए का एक मैक्रो लिख रहे हैं तो मैक्रो भी तो आपका वही काम कर रहा है ना, मैनुअल काम को आपने ऑटोमेटिकली एक एजेंट के थ्रू करवा
बिल्कुल
रहे हैं वीबीए का।
बिल्कुल।
तो वो भी एजेंट ही है, बट एजेंटिक इज मोर सब्जेक्टिव, टॉकिंग टू यू पर्सनलाइज। एक कहते हैं ना एक पर्सोना होता है एजेंट का, एआई एजेंट का, तो वो पर्सोना होता है, उसको रिकग्नाइज करना, उसके गार्ड्रेल्स रखना बहुत जरूरी है। और एजेंट आपका अभी के लिए, मतलब मैं अभी बोल रहा हूँ, आई डोंट नो 1 साल बाद क्या होता है, कि अभी एजेंट आप ही के जो लॉगिन्स आप ही के जो प्लेटफॉर्म्स हैं उसी पे ही काम करेगा। सो यू मस्ट हैव ऑल्सो सीन कि स्विगी जोमेटो दोनों ने बोला है कि हम जिमिनाई या जीपीटी से आप ऑर्डर कर सकते हैं फूड हमारे लिए। तो वो फूड आपके लॉगिन के थ्रू ही जाएगा, ऐसा नहीं कि जीपीटी ओपन एआई के पास जाएगा फिर ओपन एआई उसको ऑर्डर करके देगा, ये करेगा वो करेगा। इट विल जस्ट बी ऑन योर एक्सेस ऑन योर लेयर, एंड एट नो पॉइंट डू आई सी अ यूनिफाइड agent covering all the mobile applications that you have on your phone, because that is what Apple and Google will do for their own self। सोर्स कोड तो उनके पास है, एपीके एसडीके उनके पास ही है। तो ये ब्राउजर बेस्ड ही रहेगा फिलहाल, क्योंकि ब्राउजर इज स्टिल nobody's territory today. People are competing on that, and we have plugins and everything on browsers. But mobile is a different story. Your mobile company or your manufacturer, like Google and Microsoft and Apple, control that space, and that is probably their niche. So that is why you see Siri failing miserably, and now using the new age
GPT back.
ChatGPT plugin or ChatGPT
Yes.
version of Siri working very well, because that Siri can access all your mobile apps someday. That is where I see agentic going through, especially
Makes
in
sense.
the mobile devices.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। And I remember, since you spoke about the mobile piece, right? What that kind of एक जो ट्यूबलाइट जली मेरे दिमाग में was a device called Rabbit, launched 2.5 years back. Two and a half years back, or
Same
probably.
time, within 6 months after OpenAI GPT,
हाँ
yeah.
जी, हाँ जी। And everyone was so gung ho because Rabbit could book tickets, Rabbit could do this, but kind of never led to something because it had its own limitations in terms of you need to have the device to run that agentic AI in that.
So imagine this today, right?
Hmm.
If Rabbit is booking your mobile tickets from Make My Trip,
Hmm.
why doesn't Make My Trip have their own AI agent? They do have their own AI agent. So
Right.
that is where a person who knows the industry would say that okay, Anthropic का जो MCP protocols हैं,
Hmm.
उस प्रोटोकॉल्स पे आप अपना एआई सर्वर डालिए, उसमें आपका जो जीपीटी के प्लगइन्स है वहां से डालिए, वहां से आपका वो बन जाएगा। बट
Exactly.
वही सेम चीज मेकमा ट्रिप के लिए भी अवेलेबल है, वही सेम चीज स्विगी जोमेटो के लिए भी अवेलेबल है.
Hmm.
So Rabbit or devices like that would have, say, an underlying foundational model, which
Hmm.
was GPT at that time,
Right.
and the overall talk and conversation was probably the wrapper around it. And the device, of course, had some computing. जैसे अभी आप IoT में जैसे IoT छोड़िए, आप जैसे nano sorry, uh, you talk about Raspberry Pis and other
Hmm.
manufacturing like small
Yeah.
SOCs and SOPs. So ये devices पे आप install कर लीजिए. और मैं वही बोल रहा था, जो SLMs आ रहे हैं, SLMs are so quantized, so small
Hmm.
that they can run on these devices alone. So you have much more freedom to do that.
Makes
But
sense.
eventually, you're taking services from a service provider like Make My Trip and other guys. So you'll be at their mercy. Like how often are they open to your APIs hitting them? So
Exactly. Exactly.
again, all these devices, all these talking agents, even the pendants that you see, I have not bought them today
Right.
because I know I can do that same thing with my phone using a Gemini app, because that's the same thing eventually.
True. Fair enough. Now we come to one interesting question, right? And this is more about macroeconomic impact. Uh, that we normally kind of do it in our own episode. I mean, in all of our episodes, which is essentially to kind of visualize how would you see, uh, let's say, the impact on maybe the Indian macroeconomy at a scale. If you see, I mean, if you have, let's say, अभी Gemini का जैसे campaign हो रहा है आपका, right? There now, even we've also seen TV ads of AI like ChatGPT and all of that quite last 6 months or 8 months. How do you see this entire scenario changing once people kind of start downloading and using it? Maybe let's say 30% of India's population start using these AI in an efficient way and not just as Google, right?
So, I'm assuming, I'll give you another stat. 9 out of 10, like this is a research from LinkedIn as well. So,
Right.
9 out of 10 employees of any company have used AI today.
True.
So you will see smarter responses, you'll see cleaner mails, you'll see good context bodies, you'll see good SMSs and reach out messages. You'll not see any grammatical mistakes. So you know that okay, people have adopted in at least content creation.
True.
So now bring that to a larger audience, like assuming that India has, say, the same mobile penetration, कि अगर हम 50% mobiles are using AI in some form or the other.
Right.
So the speed of doing business, the speed of receiving a reply will increase. Then you'll also see uh, knowledge being democratized. Because अभी जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल मैं कंसल्टिंग बिजनेस में हूँ, और सिंपल थिंग्स लाइक आई टॉक्ड अबाउट पिच डेक. सो मेरे पिच डेक मैंने बना तो लिया, बट कोई देख नहीं रहा. A normal person would now just upload that pitch deck on a GPT and see what that pitch deck is and what other areas that they can improve upon. So these small little consultancy mom and pop shops जो छोटी छोटी हैं, तो they will be definitely at risk in terms of providing additional value beyond these GPTs.
Got it.
तो एक तो इंडिया विल बिकम स्मार्टर, ऑफ कोर्स. एंड एक नॉलेज गैप का जो एक वो होता ना, प्रीमियम होता था, कि
Right.
आई नो मोर स्टफ देन यू, दैट इज व्हाई आई एम बेटर देन यू. वो एक माइक्रो लेवल पे तो लोग समझ जाएंगे कि नहीं यार ठीक है, आई हैव जीपीटी, आई कैन जस्ट वैलिडेट व्हाट ही इज सेइंग वेदर इट्स करेक्ट और नॉट.
Yeah.
And then from a macro level, how India will benefit. First of all, India will have to invest to get that benefit. I mean, we talked about the AI summit briefly in our previous conversations.
Right.
Sovereign AI having subsidized GPU rates for India. Then you have Indian startups who are being benefited from exposure and market accessibilities across. And then once you get all these things, AI, like we have the AI architecture and infrastructure in India ready, then you will have models which are very specific to Indian use cases. A person sitting in Google will not be creating models for, say, a person who's riding an e-rickshaw in Delhi, or not a small. They'll look at farmers, of course. There'll be use cases, but small little vegetable seller might be an open space or an open area for a new age startup or an AI to build that. So that is where the economy will grow. That is where the efficiencies, the growth engine will grow. And simple stuff like how things get delayed, you'll be very surprised to know कि tier 2 cities में there was one seminar where we just sat with a lot of folks around a banyan tree, बहुत पुराना पंचायत टाइप पैदा था, and people knew about all the schemes that the government had been running. There were ample avenues, brochures हैं, उनके पास posters लगे होते हैं, सब कुछ पता होता है. The problem is फॉर्म कैसे भरें. मैं एक सवाल पे रुक गया और मैंने वो छोड़ दिया वहां पे. So imagine the penetration of government beneficial welfare schemes,
Right.
and you have the AI support to support that person who's filling the form in his own local language with the same dialect. Using AI, you can now fulfill that forms, and that delay is also avoided.
Exactly.
कभी कभार एग्जीक्यूशन की प्रॉब्लम नहीं होती, कभी कभार रिजल्ट की भी प्रॉब्लम नहीं होती, सिर्फ डिले की प्रॉब्लम होती है. तो वो डिले भी कभी कभार बहुत क्रूशल और क्रिटिकल बन जाता है. सो मैक्रो लेवल पे ऑब्वियसली थिंग्स विल बेनिफिट. आई मतलब अगर मैं बोलूँ तो प्रॉब्ली आधा 1% तो जीडीपी का एआई इंप्रूव कर देगा. बट देन इट हैज़ टू बी पेनिट्रेटेड, इट हैज़ टू बी लेवरेज, इट हैज़ टू बी इन्वेस्टेड फर्स्ट टू क्लेम दैट आरओआई. बिना इन्वेस्टमेंट करे आरओआई क्या आएगा.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. No, बहुत बहुत सही बात कही है. And when you I kind of spoke about that, right? गवर्नमेंट सब्सिडीज का पेनिट्रेशन है, लोगों को पता है, बट फॉर्म फिल करने पे जो एक सवाल कैसे जवाब देना है उस पर रुक जा रहे हैं. अगर वो लेवल तक अगर एआई का यूज केस इन लोकल लैंग्वेज अगर पहुंच रहा है, एंड इफ एआई इज एबल टू ऑगमेंट दैट, देन द इम्पैक्ट इज actually exponential and huge.
Yep.
That is the kind of impact that we want AI to have. So I think this has been a really interesting conversation. Thank you so much. बहुत ही आई मीन नॉर्मली ये एपिसोड्स हमारे सेकंड पार्ट जो धंधे की बात है 20-25 मिनट के होते हैं, बट आई थिंक दीस 46 मिनट्स दैट वी हैव स्पेंट टुगेदर, आई थिंक आई मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है और मैं 10 सवाल है मेरे दिमाग में जो आपको मैं और पूछ के और 1 घंटा निकल जाएगा. बट आई थिंक मे बी दैट्स फॉर
Probably we can look at the comment session and see if there are any more questions. We
बिल्कुल
can probably have a session too someday.
डेफिनेटली वुड लव टू. एंड थैंक यू सो मच फॉर योर टाइम. आई wouldn't want to take more of your time on a Saturday
No, no,
afternoon.
my pleasure completely.
Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure, and thank you so much.
Same, lovely talking to you, and I hope I was able to add value to your podcast. I look
You
forward to seeing you again as well.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.